Welcome to the dbForge Studio for MySQL tutorial, where you will learn to backup and restore MySQL and MariaDB databases without coding using dbForge Studio for MySQL. There are three ways to invoke the Backup and Restore wizard: the Data Pump tab on the Start page, the Database Explorer Backup and Restore shortcut menu, the Database Backup and Restore menu. Let's take the first way. Click Data Pump on the Start page, then click Backup Database. As you can see, the connection to the server and the database are already selected. Now you can specify the path to the folder where your backups will be stored and enter the output file name in the corresponding field. Also, if you select Append Timestamp to the file name checkbox, date and time will be added to the file name. To save disk space, you can automatically delete outdated backups. For instance, you can select Auto Delete Old Files and set 2 in the quantity field to keep the most recent 2 backup copies and auto delete the older ones. Now you can select an option to compress the backup file and choose the compression level, or keep the default one. If necessary, you can add a comment to the backup file and set up a password. Proceed to the Backup Content page to select what should be included in the backup: database structure, data, or both. Now go to the Options page and select the required parameters. Select Lock All Tables for Read, Flush Read Locks, to prevent any changes in the database during the backup process. In order to keep users, roles, and permissions in the backup, start typing in the search bar and the list will be filtered instantly. Click Next to set up error handling. You can also select Prompt a user for an action to get prompts in case of errors. Another checkbox, Write a report to a log file, can be selected to keep a log record. You can easily save your time and effort on performing recurring tasks. Simply click Save Project to save all your settings to a project file for further reuse. Now you can start the backup process. The indicator shows the progress of your backup. When the backup is completed, you can view the log file. Open the output file in the SQL editor. Save the backup project if it has not been saved previously. Save the command line with the backup parameters. To open the output file, simply select the corresponding checkbox. As soon as the wizard completes the task and you click Finish, the file will be opened and you will see its contents. You can back up a database with the command line instead of doing it manually. To view the backup parameters, run the corresponding command. You can get a ready-for-use command line. Just select Save Command Line and the command line form wizard will open. In the wizard, you can visually configure and check all the parameters and immediately receive a command with parameters to run via CLI. Let's start creating a backup with the command line and use the command line wizard to generate the required command. You also need to add a password here. Copy the entire output with parameters to clipboard. Paste it into the command line and run it. Now you can watch the progress and the successful completion of your backup operation. dbForge Studio for MySQL generates commands that can be executed both using the regular command line and PowerShell. Just select the corresponding checkbox and the command for PowerShell will be generated. Let's create a backup in PowerShell. Here we launch it and watch the progress and successful completion. Now that we have a database backup, it can be restored using dbForge Studio for MySQL. Go to the Start page, click Data Pump, then click Restore Database. The Database Restore wizard opens. Here, select the connection for database restoration, the source file, and the encoding. The database field can be filled in or left blank. If a database is specified, all the commands in the backup file which are related to creating and using the database, such as use, create, alter, and drop database, will be ignored. The remaining SQL commands and scripts must not contain the database name. If the field is left blank, the database name from the backup file will be used. In our case, the database name is specified, test. This database is currently not on the server. It will be created during the restore process. In other words, we restore the data from the backup file to a new database. We see the progress and successful completion. Now let's update the list of databases and see that the test database has appeared. The database restore mechanism can also be launched using the command line. To view the restore parameters, run the corresponding command. We deliberately left the Database Restore wizard open in order to apply our ready-to-use command line. So we click Save Command Line. Here we need to add a password. Let's check it. Good. Now let's copy and execute everything in the command line. The process is successfully completed. Now let's save this command line to a separate batch file, test restore. Just like with backup, if you select the corresponding checkbox, the command will be generated for PowerShell. Let's run it in PowerShell. Here we go. The progress and successful completion. The sets of backup and restore commands with parameters, which have been saved to separate files, can be used to automate the backup and restore process. Let's check how these two files work. Let's run the batch file with the backup commands. Everything works fine. The backup has been created. Now let's run the batch file to restore our database. Success! The database has been restored. Now if you set up daily execution of these files, you will get a fully automated backup and restore system. The scheduled execution can be configured using the task scheduler, where you need to specify the path to the batch file and the required schedule. Here is what we get. To create complex batch files, dbForge Studio offers a useful option called exit code. This allows creating a certain hierarchy, a sequence of steps that the batch file will take with the execution status at each step. To display an exit code, you need to add the @echo error level line to your batch file or your command. That's it! We hope our simple examples did a good job showing how batch files and commands can simplify and automate your regular tasks. This functionality can help you create a reliable automated backup and restore system for your MySQL and MariaDB databases, and thus make your daily routine much easier. Download a 30-day free trial of dbForge Studio for MySQL and find out how easy your backup and restore tasks can become. Thanks for watching!